Hey everybody, welcome back. Probably wondering why I'm holding an old seal, or a shaft seal I should say. Well, I'm going to go ahead and show you that. I got the 2012 Mustang. I don't know if anybody's seen that video, but I put AT205 sealer in there because the front seal was leaking. Well, today it finally blew out. It was just pouring out of the transmission. So obviously I got the Trani right here, and this is the front seal that was leaking. That actually goes right inside there. I just ordered a new seal. Wasn't that expensive. It's on order. It's coming in. But you're probably wondering, how do you go about taking this transmission out? Well, I thought about recording it while I was doing it, but I'm doing this. The car's just off the ground like 3 feet, if that. So it's difficult to try to do a video while I'm trying to take this out underneath the car on the ground. So I'll give you an overview while everything's out here. First of all, you have your drive shaft, okay? It's 4 bolts on each end. 2 here and 2 on the bottom, and 4 over there on that side, 2 on top, 2 on the bottom. Take those bolts out and your shaft will slide right out. You have a transmission mount that's on the back of the transmission. It's 4 bolts that go to the body of the vehicle. And then there's 2 bolts that go onto the transmission. Obviously remove those bolts and the mount comes out. There's also a stabilizer mount on the frame in front, which is 2 bolts on each end. Once all these are out, your transmission is almost out. Transmission literally has 2 bolts up top, and then 1, 2, 3. These 2 here are for the starter motor. And then on this side, you got 1, 2, 3, 4 on this side. So altogether you got 2, 4, 6, 7 that you have to get from the back side of the transmission. And the 2 bolts for the starter motor. On the front, because you have the starter motor right here, on the front there's a bolt here and a bolt here on the transmission that you have to remove. Once these bolts are out, there's one last thing you have to do. Of course, you're going to support the transmission with a jack. Transmission jack, if you have it, would be great. You're going to slide the transmission out, and then the torque converter sits in here, which is that piece right there. Now, to get the transmission out, you have to unscrew the torque converter from the flywheel. The torque converter sits inside the transmission housing like this, and there's 4 bolts that have to be taken out, or nuts, I should say. Take these out, and then this comes out as an assembly with the transmission. I just spilled oil all over the place. Now, what was leaking is the seal. Seal actually goes on the torque converter, all right? It's called a torque converter seal, or a torque output shaft seal. That's what was leaking. It fits on there tight now because to take it out, I use a screwdriver. So you put the screwdriver between the seal and the frame, and it just pops right out. And you can see where I bent it a little bit when I did that. But this was the whole entire problem. And today it was leaking like a sieve, like somebody took off a transmission line and left it off. So I had to take it all apart. Doing this on the ground, it took me literally 5 hours, taking my time. But I got to tell you, as simple as it might look, it's a you know what to get those bolts on the top housing. There's also some wires you have to disconnect. I'll show you that before I forget. On this transmission, you're going to have wires running down here, and there's a connector that goes into the transmission. It's a pretty big connector. You can't miss it. But there's two mounts that mounts it into here, so you got to pop them out of here. The O2 sensor also connects into the housing and runs across here. On this side, you have an O2 sensor hooked up to this mount. Wiring for the O2 sensor for the left side hooked up to this mount. And then you got the shifter linkage here. There's actually a housing that goes here. Take the 2 bolts out, pop the linkage off, and you're all set. And that's all there is to it, really. But it's a pain in the ass, I'll say that, to get this bad boy out. And then to slide it out from the car, I had to jack it up even higher because I didn't have enough clearance for the housing. So once this comes in, I'll show you how to put the new one in. But all this work for 1 seal. It's amazing. All right, later. picked up the new seal for the output shaft on the torque converter, or the front seal of the transmission. I already cleaned the inside of the hub, or the inside of the transmission out with some brake clean. Got it all nice and clean, got all that oil out of there, and make sure there's nothing on the area where the seal goes. All right, put the seal on. You're just gonna slide it over everything and put it right in there. Now you just gotta tap it in. I'm gonna go ahead and get started by pressing it in. And then I'm gonna take a brass punch with a small hammer and just line it up and get it in there. And make sure it's seated in there. I'm going to take a smaller punch, just make sure it's seated in there without damaging that seal. Doesn't take a lot of pressure. All right, you'll know when it's seated, you'll hear it, it'll sound different. And that's all there is to it. Because this is a new seal, I put a light, very light coat of grease on there. What's called Molly grease. And that's it. Now we put the torque converter back inside here. Just slide it in because it's going to go into the car as a unit. And then I got to bolt everything back up. That's pretty much it.
There you have it. No more leaks. As you can see. What I'm showing you here is the front of the transmission. That's the bell housing. It was pouring out of there when that seal finally let go. Just that one seal was the issue.
A lot of guys will call it the front pump seal or the front seal of the tranny, but the proper name is torque converter output shaft seal. And that's all it was. It started leaking slowly, and if you saw that other video, I tried the AT205, and then 2 months, 3 months after that, it just started pouring out. Took the kids to school, and it was just pouring tranny fluid. Made it home. Almost didn't make it, but I did make it home. And I took my chances, took it apart, and it was an 895 seal. Unbelievable. All right, guys, this job is done. You all take care. Thanks for watching. Hopefully, this is helpful. Bye-bye.